Okay, so we're just going to have a brief look at two band 5/6 responses and having a look at why they didn't get band 6, and then we'll have a look at the best response in the state. So first thing we notice is up here they've written start. That means nothing to an examiner, that won't get any points, but then they've written spit jeté, which they're referring to what we talked about with the spitting out certain words using sforzando for an expressive effect. They would get credit for that. And also here, this wobble is a universal symbol for vibrato, so they've mentioned that too. They might mention it later on, but straight away we can see that they've heard something. Obviously going and making it quite clear is in your best interest. The solo singer uses a wide range, correct. That is shown throughout the piece, especially at the end of the excerpt. Good point, but it did take 3 lines. Also, we need some sort of example, and just a quick drawing of that would have been really good in graphic notation. The key is in major, they're missing the word tonality there. That would have, again, got band 6. This is a very good response. It's just to get the band 6, you've really got to make sure that you're showing valid points, using examples and using musical terminology. And the vocalist sings in steps and leaps throughout. Again, example, and if they drew it there, that would be marvellous. At the beginning, the solo vocalist jumps while singing the words, and then they've drawn a sort of, okay, so they've done a similar notation to us, boom, bum, boom, bum. The only thing is, I don't think the solo vocalist did jump. I think perhaps her melodic contour may have leaped, but I'm reasonably certain she didn't jump, though it wasn't a video, so we're not quite sure. Our notation was much clearer than that, but that's actually quite good. Sounds like hiccups. Yes, I suppose so. She also wobbles some of her notes. All right. Can someone please tell me what a better word than wobble might have been? Again, she's done what, or he's done what the examiners want, and that's if you don't know the musical word, just use plain English. Wobbles, fine, we know what they mean, we know they have ears, all they do is not know the correct word for wobbling, which is vibrato. That is seen, it's not seen ever, it's heard towards the end. The melody is very jumpy. Yes, you've said that and you used the wrong word twice, it's annoying. With the adding of a harmony voice, yes, which adds to the soloist's part. Good. So that by itself wouldn't have been really a valid point because it's not about the soloist, but it is true that does add. The vocalist also spits some notes out, so yeah, they have clarified their little point that they wrote up the top. The soloist use of expressive techniques are seen throughout the piece. Well, obviously that's why they chose it and then asked you about expressive techniques. That was a waste of 2 lines. With adding of her own stylistic indications and techniques. Okay, so they've literally thrown away 4 lines here. That means absolutely nothing. You may as well have said nothing. While the pitch is constantly changing. Pointless, but the main melody staying relatively the same. We know what they're meaning, but the way we said it was much better, where they use melodic motifs to improvise on, but keep coming back to the same melodic motif. That's what they're trying to say, so it's still a decent point, but it's not band 6. You can see why they've got this borderline. They've said a lot of good points, but it can be so improved. Okay, next point. But the main melody is staying relatively the same. Sorry, the beat underneath and other performing media help to create contrast to the solo vocalist. That has nothing to do with pitch or expressive techniques. That was pointless. The ending bar has the vocalist exceed her initial range. Excellent point. I really like the way they've worded that. And it expressively moves from a held note to a higher note and then cuts the note off short to finish. Yes. Again, if they just put example and drawn it in there, it'd be a fantastic point. This ending brings the piece together with a bang. I would say with a climax rather than a bang. So again, they're pretty good. They've made a lot of valid points, but they're just missing first of all, a structure to the whole thing. There's no sort of dot point forms. It's not constantly tying back to the question. Occasionally they go off on a tangent, like this beat business here. So for the structure of the response, it's definitely not band 6. Valid points, they've made a lot of good valid points, but nowhere near as many as we have, and not to the same depth that we have. Their correct terminology is reasonably weak, and their examples are missing. So that's why they've only got in that band 5 region. Right, next example of a band 5/6 response. Solo singer uses a wide range, funnily enough that was our first point as well, of pitches from low to extremely high pitches. Register would have been a better use of word there. Singer's voice range from alto to soprano. Good, mainly around the soprano area because most notes are sung high. Yes. Again, it's just sort of a bit waffly, this response. Uses techniques such as melisma, yes, mainly in the beginning section where she would sing different group of pitches in the same note, in the same syllable is what they mean there. They're having trouble sort of articulating what they mean. So what they're doing there is trying to explain what melisma is to prove that they know what it is. They would have been better off simply notating it. Singing in a foreign language, French, allowing the tongue twisting to add to the interesting sound produced. Yeah, okay. Voice modulates both upwards and downwards. No. Modulating is changing the key. It definitely did not modulate. So there's a good example of someone who doesn't know. This is exactly what the examiners don't want. They've used a word that they've heard in class, but they don't know what it means. And upwards and downwards in the piece constantly. This is also what the examiners don't like, is that's so vague. Don't ever describe the pitches moving up and down. Of course it moves up and down. That's the only thing it can do. What you need to do is show how it descends, whether it's stepwise or leaping. Not just up and down, and then no example to clarify it further. If you'd written up and down as below, then it would at least say something. Regularly changes in sounds produce, some sung soft, some sung loud. Good, and they've used the correct terminology for both. That's good. Voice trilling in high pitches, yes. Melody sung is heavily ornamented, yes. Trilling, melisma, they've already mentioned those. That was pointless. Scant. What they mean is scat, and our favourite word now is vocalising over a neutral syllable. So we mentioned that, but we said it a lot better than scant. So again, their use of correct terminology isn't very good, but we can still see what they were talking about. Wide range and register used in the piece, sung by singer. Wide range and register, yeah, okay, it just doesn't go into much detail, that's all. End section, pitch modulates, no, to an extremely higher pitch to end the piece. Melody that singer sings is very disjunct. Okay, that's good. That means that it's not, smooth, but it's sort of very angular, being the leaping contour that they've discussed. That's a nice word. Style of the piece is disjunct. No, that's not a style. And this is where they're struggling to come up with anything else. Singer harmonises with backing, accompanying. So the Board of Studies got this person to borderline 5 and 6. I would have marked it lower than that, much lower than that. I mean, they don't even have an example anywhere. The only thing that saved them was a few